Thank you very much for your introduction, Dr. Teichmann. Dear Chair of the Committee, Dr. Teichmann, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would like to welcome you in this session as well. One of my hats is the marketing, which I also teach, and I would like to start, first of all, with the title of our topic, which is How Do You Feel? Neurobiophysiological Assessment of Business-Oriented Emotional Words upon Gender, Age, and English Language Proficiency. As a marketeer myself, let me start first with a few basic things. Our research examines the hypothesis that images of words, specifically of a business-oriented environment, are likely to elicit an amplitude of emotions. As it is expected, we expect that our final results will be exploited in the upcoming and groundbreaking area of neuromarketing, and specifically neuroadvertising. To start with, since we are talking about advertising, let me give a brief description, a term, to describe the term advertising. Advertising is considered to be a paid, non-personal communication from an identified sponsor using mass media to persuade or influence an audience. In other words, to put it in a more simple, advertising is a means of informing and communicating essential information to customers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever considered the number of advertisements that we are confronted during the course of a day, during the 24 hours of a day, meaning from the moment that we wake up in the morning till the time that we go to bed at night? Studies have shown that in Western societies, the average consumer is exposed to up to 10,000 advertisings per day. This is a huge number if we can consider that. Additionally, there is evidence of a year-to-year increase in advertising expenditures worldwide, but despite all the above, empirical evidence suggests that instead customers, and we are all customers, demonstrate a lower willingness to pay. Not only that, but we also exhibit a decreasing net promoter score, which is nothing but a simple ratio of loyal over disloyal or unhappy customers, if you want. As you can see from this figure, this number is decreasing. On top of that, we seem to display difficulty in recalling even a handful of advertisings seen or heard during the course of even the previous day. Although we may remember, we may recall information and have memories for many, many days before. Advertisings are a simple mix of audio and visual stimuli integrated in order to effectively deploy the attention, interest, desire, action model, in marketing also known as the AIDA model. Creating effective advertising campaigns requires creating a congruent mix of music and sounds, as well as images, that better describe the advertised product and service. We all know that words do have affective and aesthetic properties that influence their processing. In our study, we will investigate, and our study, I have to say, it is an ongoing research to the moment. In our study, we will investigate and evaluate appropriate English business-oriented words which could well be used in order to make more effective, more persuasive advertisements. Thus, on one hand, we seek to optimize customer satisfaction, which is the basis of marketing and not sales, as people may think, as well as to improve willingness to pay, that is from the side of customers. But also we have the other side, the side of enterprises, where we seek to maximize profits and revenues. The state of art of various external affective stimuli in advertising has been investigated in many research studies. Our current research provides an initial categorization of existing literature based upon the effect of colors, font size, music, and pricing, as these are all considered empirically to be the pillars upon which advertisements are created. More precisely, and as you can see in the figure, a number of researchers have identified and validated the correlated effects of colors and advertising, colors and packaging, colors and emotions, color meaning and context, colors and purchase decisions, and colors and gender. Other researchers have examined the effect of font size correlated with increased readership of magazine advertisements, font type effect in print ads, and music in advertising and pricing decisions in advertising as well. Neuropsychological and imaging studies have employed emotional stimuli and revealed evidence that numerous cortical areas are involved in the processing of concepts and words meanings through ERPs, event-related potentials. Investigating potential word dynamics, a recent study by Grass, Bayer, and Schacht has explored the electrophysiological effects of positive, negative, and neutral valence words, and found that negative emotional content led to an increased frontal positivity and parieto-occipital negativity between 370 and 530 milliseconds after stimulus onset. This provides strong evidence that early posterior negativity can indeed be elicited by, among others, written emotional words. It is important to note that although there are a number of neurophysiological studies on the emotional and behavioral content of words in general, and given that advertising is to a great extent communicated verbally, we would accordingly expect at least a small number of similar studies in neuromarketing. Instead, and as far as we are concerned, we observe a lack of neuromarketing studies employing ERP and neurophysiological methods, not only on the effects of words, but most importantly and specifically on business-oriented English words in advertising. Thus, our current research seeks to close, we have identified and we seek to close this gap in literature eventually rendering our study a novelty. Having the advantage of being a non-invasive and unobtrusive way of assessing brain function, the purpose of this paper, of our research, is to examine visualized emotional effects of words based upon English language proficiency, gender, and age, and study potential changes in emotional processing by extracting encephalographic data from an EEG, biosensor data, such as heart rate and electrodermal activity from a wearable multisensory smart wristband, and data such as saccades, eye blinks, fixations, etc., from an eye tracking device. Our subjects will passively view affective visual stimuli involving business-oriented English words divided into 3 different concrete emotional categories, and will be asked to rate each word across a pleasantness and arousal axis. Our hypothesis of neural responses to emotional visualized word stimuli will contribute to the creation of more effective and successful neuromarketing campaigns by better understanding the mechanisms underlying language, gender, and age disparity of consumers. Coming on the procedure, our procedure is comprised by 2 phases. During phase 1, we use 3 questionnaires with such words, business English background words, as I have already stated. And during phase 2, we will obtain biosignal data derived from EEG, eye tracking, and smart wristband devices. Finally, our results up to now, and as we have already concluded the first of the 3 questionnaires at the moment, we employed a bidirectional emotional model so that each word is defined as either pleasant or unpleasant and high or low arousing. Therefore, a 2-dimensional Cartesian emotional space, as depicted in the figure, is defined by regarding the orthogonal axis of pleasantness and arousal. In this view, the vertical axis represents the degree of arousal varying from calm to high arousal, whereas the horizontal axis depicts the degree of pleasantness ranging from unpleasant to pleasant. So as you can see, on the upper right quadrant, we have stimuli, pleasant and highly arousing stimuli, while the upper left part of the emotional space contains calm and pleasant words. On the other hand, the 3rd quadrant contains rather melancholic words. And finally, the 4th quadrant contains more fearful words. These are basically the initials of high, low, pleasure, and arousal words. So HPHA, we have the high pleasantness, high arousal, low pleasantness, high arousal, etc. So up to now, we observe a horizontal dispersion of values across the pleasantness axis with a degree of concentration along the vertical arousal axis. And this is expected due to our currently small sample, but since our research is ongoing, we soon expect to obtain more concrete and insightful neurobiophysiological results of business-oriented emotional words upon gender, age, and English language proficiency that could well be exploited on a neuromarketing basis. Thank you very much.